Welcome back to Hoops HD, everybody. Our continuing preseason 2017-2018 podcasts. I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. This is our Mountain West preview, which we are simultaneously recording with up there, the Atlantic 10, down there, the West Coast Conference.
Yep.
You hit all three play buttons at the same time.
Yeah.
Here by David Griggs, John Salika, Matt Zakowski, taking a look at the Mountain West. And before we get into teams themselves of this league, David, I go back 5 years, 6 years here, 2012 season.
Yeah.
Mountain West, 4 teams in the tournament, a 5 seed, 2 6 seeds, and an 11.
And
2013.
it was an 8-team league that year, I think.
Yeah, 2013 as a 9-team league, they put 5 teams in the field, including a 3 seed and a 5 seed. Even 2014, they only put 2 teams in, but they were a 4 seed and a 7 seed. 2015, they put 3 teams in. And then the last 2 years, a 14 seed in 2016, a 12 seed last year, a team just the automatic bid winner. What the hell has happened to the Mountain West?
I don't know. That's a great question, and it part of it has been a turnover in membership. You know, when BYU, Utah were a part of the league, you had strong rivalries. New Mexico was also included in that. Colorado State, when Tim Miles was there, was a tournament caliber team. They were exciting. They were sold out every night or close to it, at least when they were good. Even Wyoming, it was a snake pit, typically not a tournament caliber team. You had BYU, who I already mentioned. You had San Diego State, the one year where they were both in the top 10. And what you really had was an exciting brand of basketball with rabid fan bases and a lot of good rivalries in a league that was, for a stretch in that time period that you mentioned, outperforming the Pac-12, in all honesty. And not only was it outperforming it, but the crowds were better, the games were more exciting, and the quality of play was better, and they were putting more teams in the tournament. And here we are the last 2 years. The membership has changed. We now have San Jose State for some reason. There's some really, really bad teams in the league, and they lost some of the better members. But it's just preposterous to me that had you told me 5 years ago that the Mountain West would go 2 consecutive years without putting anybody inside the bubble, I'd have said you were nuts. But here we are again looking at possibly a third year of that happening.
Yeah, Matt, let's go back to 2012, the year they had a 5 seed, 2 6s, and an 11. Those teams were New Mexico, San Diego State, UNLV, and Colorado State. All teams still in this conference. So, I mean, it's not like we're talking about a complete turnover, not like a WAC level turnover. This is there's been some turnover, but there's a lot of these state programs are still here.
I think what hurts is, Dave Rice flaming out at UNLV. You had Alford leaving New Mexico. And then San Diego State just got a little stale at the end with Steve Fisher. And I'm thinking from doing a little research, reading some articles, there's some excitement with Brian Dutcher. And I think in hindsight, they probably need to do this probably 1 or 2 years sooner. But, it's just a bunch of factors. And that's how a team, when you're like a conference on the fringe a little bit, you go from a team like a 6th or 7th rated conference that was good for 3 or 4 bids and decent seeds to now a 9th, 10th, 11th best conference that struggles to put 2 in.
Of course, in many ways, Dutcher is actually an extension of Steve Fisher because he has been a long-time assistant going back to his Michigan days.
Yeah, he was. He was assistant all the way back in Michigan with Fisher.
I did not realize that. Man, good job.
Well, John, let's stick with that San Diego State team this heading into this season, though. We do have Dutcher coming in to replace Steve Fisher. Can they bounce back from the disappointments of last year to be the winner of this conference?
I think they have the pieces in place, but we look at how they're going to be scheduling San Diego State. They're going to have a game at Arizona State. They're also going to be part of the Wooden Legacy, which includes Sacramento State and either Georgia or Fullerton on one side. They also have the crosstown rival San Diego, as well as games against Cal and Gonzaga. So they're probably going to have to, I would say, go at least 16-2 or 15-3 if they're really going to entertain at-large hopes in the Mountain West this year.
Yeah, Matt, from what he just said, you better win that Wooden Legacy, and you better win the Gonzaga game because you don't really have those non-conference chances. But I know you do like the San Diego State team.
No, I like it. It's like off-season reports. They look strong. They, I guess, whooped USC in a secret scrimmage where now the results aren't so secret. And there's talent. I mean, Malik Pope's been looked at NBA scouts. Trey Cal was a top 100 guy. Jeremy Hubsley was a top 100 guy. And that they got USF transfer Devin Watson. I think all of those pieces are going to go together nicely, and I think they take a good step up this year, and they come back to being a tournament team. Even I realize they're going to need like a 25-6 type record to do it, but I think they get just there, and then they might be a dangerous 10 or 11 seed who are underseeded because they did to themselves with the schedule, but you don't want to play in the first round.
Well, so let me ask you, Matt. Are you saying that they are a tournament team even if they don't get the automatic bid?
I think they are, and it just might be like Wichita, where they suffer in seeding, but they sneak in, and maybe they have to go to Dayton. But I'm kind of thinking now they're going to be a tournament team.
Right. Well, David, first of all, do you agree with him that this is the team to beat here in the Mountain West? This is the best team.
I still like Nevada more than San Diego State. I know Nevada lost a lot, but you hear about what they did in the closed scrimmage, and perhaps the potential is there. But if I had to pick one, I'm still going to go with Nevada here. And again, I think their fringe bubble, perhaps they're inside of it if they end up needing it. But that's who I like more than anyone else.
Yeah, and you got point guard Lindsey Drew back. You got Jordan Caroline back for Nevada. I think the interesting thing here with Nevada is the addition of the twin transfers from NC State, Caleb and Cody Martin. Caleb was scoring 11 points a game a couple of years ago with NC State in the ACC. I think that's going to translate to even more than that here at Nevada. So
I think so too, because he was doing that with Mark Gottfried as the coach. Mark Gottfried is no longer the coach.
Right. But Stalika, do you like Nevada better than San Diego State? Are you with David and I on this pick on this here, or which way are you going?
I would probably say San Diego State would be my pick, but Nevada I think is going to be a close second. They're going to also have some decent games of their own with Rhode Island at home, Illinois State at home, Texas Tech on the road. They'll be playing TCU at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
That's a good game. That's a real good game.
Yeah, I was just saying, I want to chime in real quick too on Nevada. Like, kid I'm looking for is Kendall Stevens. Like, he had a nice career going at Purdue, and then all of a sudden his shot fell off a cliff as a junior. He basically fell out of the rotation by the end of the year. But he's a good shooter. I think just it was a loss of confidence, a new home, and that he won't have to be a guy got Lindsey Drew, Jordan Caroline, the Martin twins to make plays. If he could just come back, hit some shots at a 40% clip, I think it'd be like I like this Nevada team. I think they could be a tournament team as well. I think the Mountain West does get two teams in again this year, but yeah.
All right. Well, Stalika, 2 years ago, Nevada won the CBI, and they translated that into an NCAA bid last year. Last year, Wyoming won the CBI. Are your Cowboys a potential NCAA tournament team this year?
John's Cowboys.
Yep, Justin James is going to be another player to watch for Wyoming. He averaged over 16 points last year. And also keep an eye on second-year head coach Alan Edwards, who filled in pretty decently after longtime head coach Larry Shyatt had retired. I mean, I'm not sure Wyoming is going to have the schedule per se like San Diego State and Nevada would, but just baby steps for the Cowboys here.
Yeah, they got an interesting stat here that both Justin James and Hayden Dalton, neither one was a starter last year, both averaged in double figures. But they also and they do bring back most of that team from last season, so they do have the depth. I would not be surprised to see them making some noise. I don't think they're a tournament team, though, David.
I don't think so, but let me ask John this question. Do they win the front range? I think they do.
Well, against Colorado State, Colorado, Denver, and Air Force, I mean, of course they're capable of winning that.
Yep.
All right. Matt, what about Vegas?
They are a real wild card. top half, they'll be strong top half. You have Brandon McCoy, who is like a McDonald's All-American, had everyone looking at him. In the end, he ends up in Vegas. And I think we might be looking back at why in a couple of years here, given the All-FBI stuff. For now, he's on Vegas. They also have JUCO Player of the Year, Shakir Justin, who that's another kid who had a bunch of high major looks. They got him. And then after bouncing from Oklahoma State, when Underwood left, Amori Hardy, real nice kid out of Michigan, with Vegas too. So you got those three newcomers. The problem with them, there is not much else there. And that I think the Mountain West is a good enough league that I don't think three new guys are going to come in and totally take over a team and vault them to the top 2 or 3.
Right. They got a couple other transfers coming in too. Jordan Johnson may end up being their point guard, even coming over from Milwaukee. Not that he's, the greatest point guard in the world or anything, but I think that they've got. It's going to be an interesting season, though, David, for Vegas, and they could end up winning the conference. They could end up finishing last place. I think that's what I'm looking at the Vegas team.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of question marks there, and again, it'll just be kind of interesting. It's a big season as far as it's an indication of where their program is going moving forward. So,
correct. Well, David, let me stick with you. Beyond these 4 teams we've discussed so far, is there anybody else that you think may make some noise in this league? And the answer could be no. That's fine.
The answer is no.
Okay, the answer is no. Matt, let me ask you the same question, and maybe like a Boise State with Chandler Hutchinson, who might be your conference player of the year this year.
Yeah, Boise would be okay. I think Fresno State under Rodney Terry, they've made some nice progress. They won the auto bid 2 years ago. Still got some decent talent there. They're somewhere like they'll win 9-10 games, be a tough out. Maybe if SDSU or Nevada has a bad night up there in Fresno, maybe they drop one there. And I think we're done with the threats to make the tournament. But listen, Fresno, Boise, they're decent enough teams that who knows, everything breaks right. They face 3rd or 4th, maybe they sneak in the NIT.
So in other words, you're not counting on Paul Weir to pull the same magic that he did at New Mexico State last year.
No. He inherited a much better situation at New Mexico State than he does here. I think New Mexico has the greater potential long term. I understand why he made the move, but it's going to take a while there.
It's going to take a long while.
Craig,
and you kind of wonder if he should have. The thing about New Mexico State is that it's probably the easiest place for anybody to win 20 games. And he left that for a place that I think had he stuck around there a little longer, some better opportunities may have come along. But, hey, he didn't have to move.
He did not have to move very far, did he? David, Colorado State with Larry Eustace got 24 wins last year.
Despite having a fantastic coaching job on his part, by the way.
I think the entire team got thrown off mid-season. They got a few of those guys back.
Was it 3? I think it was 3 starters were academically ineligible after the fall semester.
They only had 7 players to go the rest of the
year. It was amazing what he did. And, if anybody is going to be a surprise team or a dark horse team, I think it's that one. And I know that he hasn't been going to tournaments every year and going deep, but I think he's done a fantastic job since he's gotten to Colorado State. He's had a really good career overall, really. And, with some of that personnel back, I think that it's not crazy to think that they're NIT-ish or maybe finishing close to the top of the league again this year.
Right. And, Salika, you got teams like Utah State and Air Force, really not much worth mentioning there. I don't think we're really looking at postseason possibilities for them, are you?
Just like Sisyphus, they're going to be perpetually pushing the boulder up the hill only to see it fall down again.
Yeah, and Matt, San Jose State, we got to mention them. Dave Wojcik's surprising retirement midsummer, and Brandon Clark, who could have helped this team a lot, he's off to Gonzaga.
Yeah, that's the one. You had one kid who was well above their normal program, and now it says that he was starting to slowly build it up. It wasn't like they were going to probably be 9th or 10th this year anyway, but now in a program that faces a challenge and is a little bit out of their depth already, they're in trouble for another few years, and we'll probably be back to being a 5-25, 2-16 punching bag.
Now, we kind of got into this on the email, and maybe this isn't fair to ask. What was the attraction of adding San Diego State instead of a team that probably is a little more accomplished in football and basketball in a UTEP, or not so much football, but basketball in New Mexico State? Like, what was the attraction of San Jose State? It was just a bad pick.
I'm guessing maybe just the San Jose market. That's a hot market in the Bay Area.
That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah.
But yeah,
and as Stalika said, the beach. I mean,
don't they have a really good riflery team?
I don't know. Who gives a crap?
I mean, it's the same reason we have any conference realignment nowadays. It's all about adding the Bay Area as opposed to an outpost of El Paso.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what UTEP does typically? Well, maybe they just didn't like Tim Floyd. I don't know. And could you really blame them? But you know what UTEP does that San Jose State typically doesn't do? They win.
And they draw fans.
Yeah, and they draw fans. Yeah.
They don't have a floor court design that is hideous, but
right, they don't have that either.
Those cartoon Spartans on there. But anyhow, on that note, let me run through each of you real quick here. Ask you basically 3 questions. Who's going to win this conference? Can the second place team also get a tournament bid? And can the conference champion get a bid if they get upset in the conference tournament? So is anybody basically in this conference within the bubble? And who is the champion? So, Matt, let me ask you those questions.
I'm going to say I will take SDSU, but I think both them and Nevada will get in. I don't think anyone outside of those two. And say if one of them loses in the quarters or that, then they might be in trouble. But I think they'll at least get to the semis or finals. One of them will get the auto. The other one will get the second bid, maybe if it's headed to dated. But I think they do get a second bid.
And I kind of agree with you. I think that there's a real good chance of this being a 2-bid league. I mean, if it's not, it's going to be real close. But I do have Nevada as a champion, San Diego State there, the team pushing for a second spot. Stalika?
I don't have any mortal locks as far as this league, but I'm going to say San Diego State wins the regular season, and I'm going to say maybe about a 25% chance that someone like a Wyoming steals the automatic bid here.
I like Wyoming.
If Wyoming does steal it, do you think San Diego State is good enough to make the field as an at-large?
I would say 50-50 they can get in.
All right, way to commit there. Way to commit.
Well, bubble, yeah.
David.
Okay, I think, let's see. I think Nevada wins the league, and I think that I have Wyoming second and San Diego State third, but I guess to answer your question, I think that the first place team will be on the bubble and perhaps inside of it, but no one else. So the only way they get to is if someone other than the first place team wins the automatic bid, which is very likely. But if I'm guessing the order, I'm going Nevada, Wyoming, who I actually seem to like more than John right now, and then San Diego State. But any 3 of those would not surprise me as the first place team.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, I do want to thank everyone for joining us here for our Mountain West preview show. If you did not watch the Atlantic 10, it's up there somewhere. If West Coast is going to be down there. You should have watched them all at the same time. I think actually if you do watch them all at the same time backwards, David, you get a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Is that right?
Something like that. Yeah.
On that note, on behalf of Matt Sikowski, David Griggs, John Sleek, I'm Chad Sherwood. We'll talk to you again real soon.